I'm Praise, and I'm going to be moderating today's session. Welcome, everyone. If you're new to this webinar series, if you're just joining for the first time, welcome. And if this is not your first time joining, welcome back. I'm sure that you have learned something from the previous webinars, and today we'll be discussing something that is as well very important, right? Cybersecurity analysis. And we have our very own seasoned cybersecurity expert who also serves as the lead of Zoracom Security and Security Operations Center Managed Services, right? And he's going to be giving us so much insight into cybersecurity analysis and why it is important for your business to conduct cybersecurity analysis. So I want you to sit back, relax, make your mic is mute to avoid any form of interjections. Get your pens and your notes ready. I'm very sure that this will be an insightful session. So without further ado, let us welcome Mr. Bakare Emmanuel as he takes us in this session. Over to you, Bakare.
Hello, Chris. Thank you very much for that insightful introduction. With the advent of hybrid and remote work, we've seen a rise in the spate of cyber attacks on enterprise businesses all over the world. And it is important for you to secure not only yourself, your IT resources, and also your customers/consumers data to ensure that you are consistently protected and shielded from any potential threat actors out there who might want to break into your systems to gain access to any form of valuable resource and valuable information that might be used against your organization. What is cybersecurity analysis? Now, it's a combination of two major things. We are looking at threat analysis and risk analysis. The combination of threat analysis and risk analysis come together to give you what we call cybersecurity analysis. Now, the analysis entails examining each risk to the security of your organization information systems, devices, and data. So the first aspect of any form of cybersecurity is you want to analyze the risk that is faced by your information systems, by your devices, and by your data, because these are the critical things that make up the entirety of most of your IT infrastructure. The information systems can consist of your servers, your endpoint devices, that is your computer and your laptops. The devices can consist of your mobile devices that is being used by your organization employees, especially if you are working in an organization that uses a bring your own device policy. And the data, well, data is the mind gold of the 21st century now. So it could be your customers' data, it could be your consumers' data, it could be proprietary information on maybe software or applications that your organization uses, or the key MVP, your most valuable products. All this proprietary information and data are things that you want to ensure that the reach to them is properly examined and properly measured so that you can identify the next part of the definition, the priority of those risks. Now, your devices, your data, and every form of information system that you have in your organization all face different types of risk. But it is imperative for you to prioritize these risks based on what is the most important, or what are the critical systems that we currently have, or the most critical information and data systems that we are currently managing in our business, that if anything happens to this data, if this data gets exposed, or if this system goes down, it will more or less cripple the entirety of the business. You need to prioritize those risks. A database server that is managing your core applications that you use to carry out your day-to-day business operations is a critical and priority one system that more focus always results into either spending more money security-wise in buying more tools to secure it, or paying additional resources, technical resources that can help you to manage and secure those systems. That is what the priority aspect talks about. Then the final part of the definition means defining the actions that will be taken in order to avoid the risk or to handle them. So in this case, we are referring to, we have already assessed the risk. we've prioritized the risk. And finally, we are now talking about the controls that will be implemented so as to not only manage that risk, but in cases or situations where it is possible to completely eliminate that risk from your business. Now, you need to understand that carrying out cybersecurity analysis is the key to addressing the multiple attack vectors that are used by threat actors nowadays. Many businesses nowadays are moved from completely local and completely office-based environments to either fully remote or fully hybrid environments. Moving to fully remote or fully hybrid has more or less expanded the attack surface by which these threat actors can use to gain access into your systems, either to exfiltrate data or to break some of your core systems to make data and access to those information systems unavailable. So with that being said, carrying out a regular and consistent cybersecurity analysis helps you to identify all these attack vectors. It also helps you to detect vulnerabilities that are present on your systems and potential weak points at all stages of the system lifecycle of all information systems that you are currently hosting in your IT network. So I'll proceed to the next slide. So now we are talking about, we've already defined that we have a baseline of what cybersecurity analysis entails. So we'll now talk about the process. What are the steps that are to be taken to be able to carry out a foolproof end-to-end cybersecurity analysis? Now, the first thing you should always do is to inventory your system. Now, one of the key issues or challenges that have been faced by many organizations in the IT world, especially in the cybersecurity domain, is that you have a forest of IT assets. So you don't have a complete inventory of these assets, of this data, how these assets and this data are interconnected to each other, and the flow of information between each asset. The inability to gain visibility into your complete asset base is more or less crippling 60 to 70% of organizations nowadays. And it is one of the major weak points whereby attackers used to gain entry to the systems. So to curtail that, one of the first things you do is you inventory the entirety of your IT assets. You catalog all your business assets, and that includes your IT infrastructure and various local or cloud-based solutions. The next thing you also need to do once you've inventory your assets is to assess it. You assess which systems and network or software are critical to your business operations. Once you can understand this, it helps you to be able to prioritize, okay, these are critical systems. Now, let us find a way to be able to secure them and prevent them from being open to attacks by any potential threat actors, external or internal. Now, once you assess that, the next step for you is to analyze. When you are doing this analysis, risk analysis helps you to assign priority to each of the risks that you have itemized for these systems. So each of these systems, you've already assessed what your critical systems are. The next step for you is to analyze them based on the risk that they are facing. And that risk always helps you generate a numerical number. So the numerical number is based on the risk and the potential impact that that risk can have on that particular system if the risk is exploited. Once you can get that particular number from your analysis, the next step is to start implementing controls. So there are various controls and remediation techniques that can be implemented on systems to help you prevent them from having constant barrage of attacks from hackers, even people within your organizations. So many forms of controls depending on the challenges and the vulnerabilities that are detected on your system. One of them includes, but is not limited to, network segregation. You can also encrypt your data at address and also your data in transit. So when you're transmitting data from either your home office to your business office or from your local to your remote office, anywhere data is moving from one place to another, you can encrypt that data in transit. You can also implement anti-malware, anti-ransomware, and anti-phishing software on your various endpoint systems. So you can have an antivirus combined with various network detection and response solutions, which coupled together helps you create a layered level of security on your IT systems, such that even if one layer, maybe the prominence or the first layer, which is usually your antivirus, if that layer is breached, the second layer, which can be your network detection and response, or your endpoint detection response software can come into play and prevent any attack from happening either live or detect any potential attacks that might want to occur in the future. And another form of control can be your firewall configuration, which applies to either your local networks or even your cloud-based resources network for companies that are fully remote. You need to understand how to implement the proper and correct firewall configuration to help secure those assets and prevent them from getting exposed to internet threat actors. And last but not the least, after implementing these controls, you have to continuously monitor them. Cybersecurity analysis is not a one-time thing. It is a continuous process. So it is imperative for you that once you finish the first 4 steps, the monitoring step is a constant process whereby it could be weekly, it could be monthly, depending on a lot of factors, but intermittently this should be carried out as quickly as possible so that you can always be up to date with the state of your organization's security posture. So for us, what we are offering or what we are bringing out to most of the businesses to help them automate their overall cybersecurity analysis is Fortress. Fortress is a proprietary solution that we here at Zoracom have developed to help you automate your cybersecurity analysis. So one of the key 4 selling points of Fortress is that first, it helps you to monitor and minimize the IT attack surface with just one application. So from a single pane of glass, you can monitor the entirety of your IT infrastructure, especially your internet-facing resources. These are the ones that have, should I say, are the most exposed to potential hackers and potential threat actors. And these are the ones that will tend to help you give visibility into so that you can monitor the entirety of the flow of information in and out of those IT assets. You can monitor the vulnerability status. You can monitor the security posture of those IT assets to ensure that they are up to date, they are patched as quickly as possible, and there are no potential vulnerabilities, either known or zero-day vulnerabilities existent of those systems. Also, Fortress helps you in meeting and improving compliance requirements. Now, I'm sure this is a very, very important topic for especially people that are working in the fintech sector, because when you have a lot of regulatory and compliance bodies who have outlined various regulations that you are to meet to ensure that you are operating well within the standard operating procedures in your particular domain, especially in the financial domain, it can be very, very cumbersome keeping up with, okay, what is PCI DSS requirements? Are we compliant with them? What are we getting from CBN requirements? If we're a fintech company, these are the requirements you give us, are we compliant with them? Rather than having different silos of applications or different silos of tools that you are using to monitor your compliance for this, Fortress gives you everything at a single glance, where you can monitor the entirety of your compliance with the various regulatory bodies and commissions that you are working with in your domain. Also, Fortress helps you to gain more efficiency in the IT security process and helps you to save resources. So basically, one of the major things that people face challenge with is when you have an issue, when there is a potential vulnerability, or when a system has a broken into, you need to come and start carrying out an investigation. And that investigation might take time because you start trying to do a walk back to see the path that the attacker took to break into your system. And this is time, man hours that is not only being wasted, but cannot be recovered. What Fortress does is that it helps you simplify the efficiency of your process. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in a situation or circumstance where you are broken into. Even before you have any potential attacks, Fortress is always alert, proactive to help you efficiently manage the entirety of your IT resources, giving you devices that have potential vulnerabilities of them that can be exploited, giving you the remediation methodology to help patch that vulnerability that has been detected on that system. And it also helps you to, from a glance, manage all your devices that are running on your IT network from one single pane of glass. And last but not least, it helps you to simplify communication with individual reporting. Reporting is very, very critical for us, especially in the IT industry and at large. And especially depending on the level of the engagement of the stakeholders. The kind of reporting your board of directors want to be different from the kind of reporting the C-level executive want to be different from the kind of reporting your technical resources and your solution architect or engineers will want. And what Fortress does is that it provides customizable reports for each level of stakeholders. So you can generate business engagement reports for the C-level executive, and you can generate technical nitty-gritty reports that gives you down to the various protocols, the various ports, the various devices, IP addresses of the devices and domains that have been flagged to have any form of potential vulnerabilities that are either potential risk to your business or can be exploited by threat actors. So reporting-wise, it gives you a very customizable platform for you to generate reports of any form of business stakeholder. So what you are seeing here at a glance now is Fortress as the Fortress dashboard as a whole. And for this, it's a very, very interactive dashboard. So what I'll do is I'll jump out of the slide and let me go straight to the Fortress part of the set so that we can have a view of what we are talking about. Okay. Hello team. So now this, what we are seeing now is basically Fortress at a glance. Now, from here now, you can tell that what Fortress does is that it evaluates the entirety of your IT systems. It carries out a scan to check for any potential vulnerabilities, compliance issues that might not be aligned with the compliance requirements in your business domain. And it gives you a numeric score. So that numeric score is scored over 100, and with every potential vulnerability that has been detected. Okay, I see somebody's hand up. Yeah. I'm sure we'll have additional time.
Has not changed.
Oh, my apologies. Thank you very much for bringing that to my attention, Mr. Johnson. Okay. I'm sharing my screen now. Please, can you confirm if you are seeing my screen now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yes, we can see it. Sorry, Mr. Emmanuel. When is time for question?
Yes, just right after this, we'll have a Q&A session in the next 5 minutes.
Okay, no problem. I'm holding on.
Oh, thank you very much. So right now, what you are seeing now is Fortress as a glance. This is one of the features that we have here. This is the solution itself. So like I explained, right now, what Fortress does is that it scans the entirety of your internet-facing domains and devices, helping you to identify every single device where your internet infrastructure, either your domains, either your software, whatever it is, even if you are running a SaaS service, any device that SaaS service has been located on, Fortress is going to pick up on it. And once it picks up on it, it evaluates the hardware of that system to check for potential compliance issues and vulnerabilities that might be present on that system. And once it does that, it evaluates it against the OWASP top 100, then gives you a curated number that gives you an idea of how strong or how big your entire security posture is. The score is over 100, and we always try to advise our customers that what you want to do is you want to be in the 90 percentile. So anything 90% and above is where we are targeting, and trying to get to that particular number is a continuous process. So from this now, you can see that, okay, we are being evaluated against organizations that can also have similar size and similar structure. And for every feature or for every domain that is being evaluated, your score is either subtracted or at 0. So meaning if you have potential vulnerabilities in your application security or in your network security, in your web security, or even your encryption that is being used when you are communicating between maybe the web servers and your host network, any potential vulnerability that might be detected, depending on their impact on their network, will be deducted from your overall score. That is how we come about this number that you see. So this is what we did for a test environment of ours, and we just used it to simulate what it's going to look like in a real-time environment. And as you can see here, first and foremost, you can already get an inventory of, number one, the server counts the total number of servers that were scanned during this process, and also the total subdomains that were detected on this server. And from here, it can tell you based on each of the modules where the major issues that we're having. And you can see it flagged the network security of the servers as the most, or should I say, the most high impact vulnerability that was detected. The most high impact vulnerability detected on this test server was the network security aspect. And it's not just that, this is more or less a summary. When we go down further, you have what we call our interactive matrix. So you have your interactive vulnerability matrix and your interactive system matrix. From here, it gives you at a glance, from a graphical angle, the total number of devices. And from when we move from green to red, obviously red implying that very, very bad, then green means very, very good, then yellow means there's still room for improvement. So from here, you can get an idea and inkling of what exactly it represents, where your vulnerabilities are being plotted on the graph based on the level of impacts they have on the systems. And this is the fun part for me. When we go down to the details for the technical staff, because I'm a hands-on person, this is what I always love to look at, because all this has our own graphs. I want to know what exactly is the issue. You told me there's a vulnerability. What is the vulnerability that was detected on the system? What port is having that issue? What service or what protocol are you flagging? And from here, you can get it. And it is arranged in order of priority, which I always like to emphasize on. Many of these systems, they show you a lot of alerts. They show you a lot of vulnerability alerts that was captured. But because of it is not in order of priority, most of the time, your business will end up focusing on things that are of low impact. Fortress groups it in order of priority, helping you to identify down to the protocol, the service, the port level, what the issue is, what the challenge is. And for example, one of the major challenge or one of the major vulnerabilities that was detected here was that we had an issue that's where the port 9200 is accessible from the internet. And what it does, as you can see from here, very, very interactive. Once you check out that potential flag vulnerability, it gives you the affected systems, that is all the IP addresses of the systems that are carrying this potential vulnerability flag. It gives you the domains of the server that are being hosted on that systems, and it helps you to identify them. Going a bit deeper now, it gives you a problem description. So from here now, you can tell what the problem is. That from here, a lot of ports that are not supposed to be open are open, which is a very basic issue that we face a lot in information security domain, but most people don't always pay attention to it because there is so much ports. You have about 62,400 and I think 93 ports total. How many ports are you going to be monitoring? So, but for the IT, the information security professionals, you want to be able to harden your systems. And to harden your systems, you want a solution that can tell you immediately, okay, these ports are going to be potential vulnerabilities because they can be exploited as long as they are open on the system. You are advised to close them. So from here, this port is not sufficiently secured, third parties can use these ports to gain access to your network. And not only does it give you the risk, it gives you the remedy. Therefore, the open port should be reviewed for their necessity and closed if necessary. You can find out how to do this. Gives you additionally to how to identify the various ports and how to close them. That is just one vulnerability. If we go down to RC4 vulnerability that is being flagged there, it tells you obviously that RC4 is a encryption cipher that is being used, especially between communication of internet resources. And the problem with RC4 is that this attack can be used to decrypt web cookies and enable attackers to impersonate the person concerned and log on to services that are affected by this connection. And the way to remedy this is the RC4 stream cipher should no longer be used because it has severe security holes which can be exploited by attackers. So for many of us who understand what this means, the RC4 stream tracker is more or less an encryption algorithm that is being used by many web-based applications. So your web-based application, especially when you are using HTTPS, The SSH component of it uses a suite of encryption algorithms when it's trying to communicate securely between various resources of the internet. Now, there are some servers that might not be using the latest encryption protocols. So because of that, those servers request that they want to downgrade to the protocols that they are able to use to communicate with you. Unfortunately, when you are downgrading to these global protocols, the reason why these global protocols have been more or less phased out is because they have been discovered to have potential vulnerabilities. So you might be using the latest version of SSL or TLS with all the latest encryption protocols, but if the server you are communicating to is requesting to use a global encryption protocol, it might become challenging for you. So it gives you at a glance the problem description, the risk, and the remedy. Praise is already telling me that I need to quickly round up. So let me quickly just glance through the rest.
Yeah, so I was thinking that we
feature
could
is,
quickly take questions. We could take some questions that we continue right after. So if you have questions, you can just drop it in the chat box, and then we'll answer them after the other.
okay. So why they are dropping the chat box, let us get to the rest of the day. So basically, the system overview gives you an inventory of the entirety of your systems. It gives you the impact of the potential vulnerability detected, and also helps you identify the CVE that has been detected on that system with reference to their age, meaning how long have they been detected on the system. You can also tell from here the potential OS or the operating system that are running on that particular system, and it gives you at a glance all the list of vulnerabilities that have been flagged on that system. And like I insist, these are all interactive, so if you click on it, it gives you additional information on all of this. And last but not the least, the last feature I want to show you is more or less the inventory feature. So basically, like I said, most of the time, it's always very difficult to keep track of all the entirety of your domains that you have on your systems. What Fortress does is that it analyzes it. It is automated. You don't even need to configure or specify, I want this domain, I want this domain. It picks up everything that is associated with your organization's domain, scans it to ensure that no matter where your IP address or your server or whatever hardware data center, wherever it is hosted, it captures it to ensure that, okay, this is the IP address, this is the location where it was discovered, and it can help you to make further business decisions to secure the entirety of your IT domain. So I would like to go back to the slide now, if you will permit me. So basically, that is what is captured here. As you can see how very interactive the entirety of the solution is. And at the end of the day, the MVP that Fortress is just providing you as a business is that it's to identify all these invasive and non-invasive capabilities in your organization's system. It also mitigates potential threats before they happen. And finally, as a robust end-to-end cybersecurity analysis solution, it incorporates the entire life cycle of your organizational security program, enabling you to manage both the offense and defensive from a single pane of glass. Thank you very much. I think, Praise, if you can help us read out.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Bakare, for this session.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much for this session. I particularly learned a lot. Questions are already rolling, so I think that we should just go straight into them. This is from Adeni Rashid.
Okay.
He's asking, can you please tell us this, if this application is software-based? If yes, what level of network architecture does this work on, or has this been deployed?
Okay, so the advantage is that we don't need to install anything on your system. As it is, depending on the level of in-depth analysis you want us to provide you with, if you want us to focus more or less on the internet-facing aspects of your business and your domain, so we should help you protect you from external threat actors. You don't need to install anything. There is no need to install any agents or install any server in your system. No. All we do is you give us the permissions for us to help you to continuously monitor all your internet-facing domain and we run with it. So it is completely cloud-based. You are not installing anything on your system, and it runs on both cloud. It's checks both cloud-based resources and both localized hardware on your various information system. I don't know if that was clear to Mr. Rashid.
Good afternoon, Mr. Emmanuel. It's not clear to me. Like
Okay.
the question asked basically, I understand the application is cloud-based.
Yes.
Okay, I'm talking about the network architecture from layer 1 to 7. What layer is this application being deployed? When you mean cloud-based, I understand it's cloud. I want you to go more in depth.
Okay.
I want to see the level of security being applied here.
Okay, so that is why I explained. If we are talking about, okay, you want to be monitoring your own internal network domain, then yes, you will require us to maybe install an agent on individual devices or critical components of your IT infrastructure, maybe on your servers or on your web-based applications. But for our cyber risk analysis, it is clearly specialized on the internet-facing domains. So we don't need to install anything. It writes clearly on layer 7, but from layer 7, it also interacts with your layer 3, layer 4, and layer 5 components.
Okay,
I don't know if that's...
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. I think there's another question from Olusegun Johnson. He's asking if this solution, which is Fortrex, can carry out pen tests.
Okay. Okay, so for Mr. Shagun, the solution cannot carry out a pen test in the traditional sense of the word, but the solution can be used during a pen test to help you identify potential vulnerabilities that are present in the system. And what does a pen test entail? If you are maybe going to employ the services of an organization like us to do a pen test for you, yes, we might use it for our open source information gathering. You might use it to identify potential open port and vulnerabilities on your systems, and it can be used to break into that particular system during that pen test, which is all dependent, obviously, on the potential, on the agreements that was signed between the organization that is being, should I say, tested, and we, the testers. But yes, it is a tool that can be used during the process of the pen test, definitely.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Shego.
Yes, yes,
I think we have another question from Adeni Rashid. So he says recently we had presidential election concluded. The Arab servers was brought down due to an attack on the server. How can you explain where this application can solve this issue?
Okay. So actually, I read up on that. I love this person. Thank you very much. I know Mr. Rashid is a very technical person, and I love these questions. So the thing is, I read up on that attack, and you could tell right from time that it was more or less a DDoS attack that was carried out on those servers, which is a distributed denial of service attack. Now, a distributed denial of service attack is basically, it comes in various formats. It can be a ping of depth. It can be more or less, okay, you are more or less trying to consume most of the resources on the IRF server by continuously sending them with connection messages. The specifics, I might still need to get to that later. But yes, having a solution like this will help you to be proactive. Now, if I was more or less a security architect that was consulted by INEC for this, the moment those servers are spoiled, the first thing we want to farm is, okay, for the amount of data or the amount of resources, data that this server will be processing, do we have enough sources? That one, do we have enough capacity to scale? Two. Then number three, from the security angle, what are the potential vulnerabilities that are available on this server? And like I said, when you come to the bare bones of it, for we technical people, most of the issues that arises with respect to denial of service attacks is that the system was not hardened enough. When you don't harden your system enough, you expose ports to the internet that should be blocked by default. So having this kind of solution now will help you to be more proactive, such that once you have the tool, you carry out the vulnerability and risk analysis, maybe weekly, maybe on a monthly basis, but always weekly or bi-weekly is the best choice. Once you do this, you can identify these potential vulnerabilities, since basically the overall stealth is always updated on a daily basis. So there might be a vulnerability that might be available today, but the exploit for that vulnerability is not yet known. So to stay ahead of them, our tool will help you identify these vulnerabilities and provide you with a potential remediation policy or potential remediation methodology to help eliminate those vulnerabilities completely, or at least reduce the potential risk impacts that vulnerability might have on the system if they were exploited. For me, that is definitely what we can do with Fortress. And that is what Fortress would have brought to the table if we were used in this during the recently completed presidential election.
Okay, yeah, thank you, sir. I think I got all the details you explained, and I'm a bit confused. I'm a bit convinced in some areas, but I also want to probably mention the points where you can market this product further, because the banking sectors, they are more facing challenges these days. Most of their professionals in cybersecurity have left the shop. Okay, and they're having most issues at the moment right now. I think this solution will help them more. So you should be thinking ahead in that line of marketing to get more ground into it.
I couldn't agree more, Mr. Achille. I couldn't agree more. And it's something that the thing is, okay, right after this meeting, we'll definitely drop our contact card. So for many of us that would like to continue this conversation outside this meeting, if you want us to engage in a form of business discussion, please, we encourage everyone to try and reach out to us, and let's see what we can come up with. But yes, you are completely right in that regard, Mr. Rashid. Then I think I will take this question for Philomena, then we can call it a day, Madam Praise. My moderator is already giving me my red card. So Philomena says, if my organization shows interest in this project solution, how do we get started? Okay, so perfect. Just like I mentioned, right after this meeting, okay, I'm still on my screen. Okay, so since my screen is still shown, this is how you can contact us. Our numbers are available for our sales people, our technical sales specialists, our business development people, they are all available on this line. So if you feel like you need to contact us that, okay, you want to test or see something that Zoracom can do for you, organization, or organization that you know that we can provide this service to, please feel free to reach out to us as quickly as possible, and our sales people will get in touch with you and we can start the discussion from there. If there is no any other question, I would like to hand over back to my moderator. Thank you very much, Chris, and apologies for taking much of your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bakare. So I think there's one last question, although Mr. John has answered, but maybe you're able to shed more light on it. The question is from Bubemi Bebe. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. But does Zoracom provide SOC 2 reports?
Yes, it does. We are integrated with many compliance and regulatory bodies, depending on whatever you need for your organization. Our reports are not rigid; they are customizable for whatever you need. So we definitely do that.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions? Does anybody have any other questions? Okay. I assume that we all. If you have any further questions, you can always reach out to us on the email and phone numbers that displayed on the screen, right? And you can also visit our website for more information. Maybe you want to get more information about what services we offer for Trex, Mirror, and maybe other solutions that may be applicable to your organization. So thank you very much once again, Mr. Bakare, for this very insightful session. And if there are no other questions, that will be the end of today's session. And this webinar happens every month. And so there will be another one for next month. We look forward to hosting everybody on this meeting in our next webinar. And trust me, it would be as insightful and expository as this one was. Our contacts are displayed. Feel free to reach out to us if you need more clarity, or you want to partner with us, or you want to use our business solutions. Feel free to reach out to us. Follow us on our social media pages. And I look forward to moderating the next session again. Thank you very much, everyone, and do have a great day ahead.